Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. LeBron James gets carried another game. Devin Booker, Bill, and Kevin Durant, the trio of chokers. That's not a hard one. Easy word to say. The trio of chokers do it again. They do it again. And this is going to be the underlying theme all season for the Lakers, right? LeBron being carried. He's 40 years old. Um, they still won't say nothing about it. I think what they'll say is it's about time AD stepped up. LeBron is 40 years old. This'll this will be the theme, right? And every time they lose, Anthony Davis will get blamed. Every time they win, well, Anthony Davis just did what he was supposed to do, right? No, really, no credit. Oh, he's younger than LeBron. He's the best center in the league. This is what he's supposed to be doing. This is what he was supposed to be doing since he came to the Lakers. This will be the theme. And the fact that they put LeBron James over Anthony Davis in the top 100 is a disgrace. And I guess they're gonna be like, oh, I don't know if they'll say that because ESPN put this out. So I don't think they'll say, oh, this gave Anthony Davis motivation. Maybe down the road they might say this, but I don't know. It might be said just to be, because they've heard us say all this stuff. Now, they might want to run back to it. That's what ESPN and Fox and these people do a lot, right? They'll hear the YouTubers say certain things, knowing that they should have said it a long time ago, and then now they'll try to come back and say it after we already said. I've seen some of that stuff with Charles Barkley, right? The YouTube sports community says a certain thing, and Charles Barkley will run back and try to get credit for what we done said or what we've been saying or what is obvious. I mean, it ain't like rocket science to see some of these things, to know some of these things. These guys are, former NBA basketball players, but they have to read off of a script, and once that script, doesn't go through or something don't happen in that favor of what the script was, they try to come back and bite off of everybody else, and I've been seeing that about Charles Barkley lately. So yeah, this is going to be the theme. And check this out. Anthony Davis had 35 points, 2 blocks, 1 steal, 4 assists, 8 rebounds. Let me see here. 11 for 18 from the field in 38 minutes. And this guy was a minus. No, my fault. Was a +4. LeBron was a +14. Scored 21 points, 2 turnovers, 0 blocks, 0 steals, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 0 offensive, of course, and 7 for 13 from the field, 35 minutes, and 2 for 5 from 3. Oh, this guy really has no chance. He knows he's not a good 3-point shooter. This will be like, I don't know, 38, 39, 40-year-old Michael Jordan, knowing he's not a good 3-point shooter, just still chucking him up. Because in reality, if all these guys weren't shooting this many 3-pointers, LeBron would be looking foolish because he was always chugging up a lot of 3-pointers all of his career. If you go back and look at it, before this whole big 3-point contest began, especially in Cleveland the first time. That's why he never hit 50% from the field in, what was it, so 2009-10 season? So yeah, with that, he was a +14, the highest plus-minus on the team. For basically doing less than everybody else. He was the third leading scorer behind Reeves. Reeves did have 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 5 for 7 from the 3, and what was he? 8 for 12 from the field. Let me look at something real quick. Okay, he had 4 turnovers though, but he did have 1 block and 3 steals. LeBron again, 1 foul. What is this guy even showing up to the game to play defense? And his foul probably was just like I don't know, probably something out on the perimeter. What? Yeah, this is going to be the theme, man. There's really no surprise. We shouldn't be surprised about this. he's not really going to try to put nothing into this uh, season right here. And people are going to be like, man, what you expect for him, man? The man such and such years old. I'm like, well, I'm not expecting nothing out of him at 39, 40 years old, as long as the media keeps their mouth shut. Because um, I think at 39, 40 years old, Michael Jordan had like 40-point games. I think Michael Jordan even had, what, at 38, 39, what he had, like 2 50-point games. And um, it was something crazy, like 40-point games. I have to go back and look at it. LeBron was only able to get like, I think like maybe 2 40-point games last year. Michael Jordan had like 4 and 2 50-point games. And at 39, 40, Mike, he didn't get no 50-point games, but he was able to get, I think it was like 3 or 4 40-point games. And they weren't like shooting 39% or 41%. They were pretty good, 48, 40, 50%, something like that. And this was all on jumpers. Um, yeah, the whole thing of comparing eras, what Michael Jordan was coming off the couch from drinking whiskey, smoking cigars, and eating McDonald's for 2 seasons to play against world class basketball players, the best in the world. Not we. It wasn't back then when international plumbers was running the game. No offense, but you put Luca and Joker in the early 2000s. I don't even think they would get drafted. It would be a joke, and that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about what LeBron is scoring in this era. We're talking about in terms of the competition, men out there playing on the court. We're talking about this. We're talking about no space. You're not gonna get go look at it. You ain't pick and rolling all game. You gonna have to get your own damn shot. Ain't nobody picking and rolling. 4 guys sitting out on the 3 point. The thing about this game that wouldn't work in the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, and something like that. The reason why it won't work back then because how are you gonna shoot the ball? How are you gonna shoot these threes? Nobody's gonna leave you open. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It would be a waste of time to put 4 guys on the 3 point line because those guys back then were good to great defenders. Right? I'm trying to tell you what they keyed in on first was defense. So if you're, I don't as good a shooter as Steve Kerr was back in the day, or John Paxson, these guys couldn't start. And I know Paxson did start for a minute, but when BJ came, he really took that over because BJ was a better defender. You know what I'm saying? So defense came first, which means you had to earn your points. You know what I'm saying? You had to earn your points. So it didn't matter how good of a shooter you was back in the day. If you couldn't play defense first at that position, you know what I'm saying? At whatever position it was, center, forward, small guard, shooting guard, whatever, point guard. If you couldn't play good to great defense, then you wasn't starting. Don't matter how good you could shoot. It just that's just how it was. So what I'm trying to tell you is these guys literally make a game, made this new NBA to make it easier. All of them that play in this era made it easier so all of them could play in this era. They're not good defenders. They're not good or great, right? Because if they were good or great, this whole 3 point, I don't know what to call it, this whole 3 point contest wouldn't work. You think Reggie Miller could just sit at a 3 point line as good as he was? Let's see some 3 point guys. Craig Hodges, Reggie Miller, Hersey Hawkins could shoot some threes. Dan Marley could shoot some threes. Glenn Rice could shoot some threes. Um, who was that? Steve Kerr could shoot some threes. What I'm trying to say is, even though these guys could shoot the three, nobody was leaving them open. Really, the only time they could shoot the three was when they was open. So what you wanted was when a guy got double teamed, one of these guys would be open, like a Craig Hodges, a Steve Kerr, a Reggie Miller. Reggie did his thing coming off of screens and stuff like that. Nobody was just leaving Reggie wide open. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There's no damn way this thing, even if they did the same thing that they're doing now, and they put it in the 80s and 90s, it wouldn't work because these guys were good. The guys that were starting on the court, they were good to great defenders, is what I'm trying to tell you. So there's no way. So when you guys say, oh man, these guys couldn't shoot the three back then, they couldn't. Nobody's just gonna. Bro, if you got hot and you hit like two threes in a row, it was gonna come shut you down. It didn't work like that. These guys could come around screens and all this stuff, and it's ridiculous. This game that these and when you watch this game, like I keep trying to tell you, and I will tell you over and over and over and over again that these aren't real coaches. We already know these aren't real officials because they don't call carry and travel, okay? And they don't call LeBron for a technical foul every single game while he goes up and down the court politicking with him and literally cussing at him and screaming at him and making him look like a fool. So we already know these aren't real officials, which if these aren't real officials, these aren't real basketball players, right? Hold on, wait. Okay, so you're trying to tell me if the officials in football never call hold at the line, never call holding on the defensive back, on the receiver, um, I don't know. We can keep going, but I'm just saying if these things never get called, I mean, what is it? Is it a real NFL game? Are these? They wouldn't be real officials. I mean, people are making videos or have made videos of LeBron basically carrying and traveling, Anthony Edwards carrying and traveling, all these players, basically all the players, a lot of them, taking 6 steps, taking 5 steps to James Harden. So what I'm trying to tell you is, as much as we get up here and we try to make videos every day critiquing the NBA, just on that alone, because I've already said this ain't a real sports league based on other things. You don't heard me say it, but and Derek Fisher said something about it the other day about it being WWE. It basically said it ain't real. What else do you want? Um, so with that, they're not officiating. So what are you getting paid for? You're an official, but you don't call carry and travel? Let's keep it going, man. That's why I don't make many videos about this no more because it's not a real sports league. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, that they didn't get away with that sometimes, but back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, whenever. But the fact that they would call it consistently, if they did it, it tells you that the officials were doing their jobs. The fact that you couldn't sit up there and protest an official and cuss at them and call them all kind of names and do all this back in the 80s and 90s. Let me tell you what, the 90s was real. I would say about the mid 90s, it got a little bit loose. Guys were allowed to start talking. They weren't allowed to say a lot. As far as degrading the officials, but they got this. They start talking. I mean, hell, Michael Jordan took an ass whooping from Pistons, and they didn't call that. And did you see him running up to the officials? No. But what strikes me the most when you go back and watch these 80s games, they did you basically couldn't even talk back to the officials. It was like talking back to your parents when you was little. Yeah, travel, carry, blew the whistle, palming, try. All you did was make some little smirk face and move on. That's it. You remind me of like college players. You know how college players, I don't know about now, but I remember when I watched college basketball a lot, they college players aren't really allowed to say nothing to the officials. Only the coaches. Because they call them kids. Kids. They're 18 years old. Kids no more. You can go blow somebody's head off in war, right? You're not. So let's keep it moving. So another thing I was trying to tell you guys before, why this type of basketball wouldn't work, is because how most of these guys get open is to shoot these threes. It's not that these guys are just the worst defenders in the world, but they seem kind of gullible and weak, and I don't know what you want to call it. It's the same play every time. The guy with the ball at the three-point line starts to drive, and then the guy that's on him is defending him. For some reason, one of the dummies from the three-point line, one of the defenders from the three-point line collapses and helps his guy. So he leaves now a three-point guy open. So the guy with the ball now has to make a decision. Am I going to keep driving or am I going to kick it out? Am I going to keep driving with two guys on me? Or am I going to kick it out to my teammate on the 3 point line? So usually he kicks it out to his teammate on the 3 point line. So now he gets the ball at the 3 point line. Now he has to decide if he's going to shoot because now another 3 point defender is coming off his guy to help. So now am I going to shoot the three or am I going to drive the lane or what? So usually he shoots it or he drives the lane or he passes it to his other 3 point teammate that's open now. This is the problem. That none of these shenanigans couldn't happen in the 80s and 90s. Because I told you, back in the day, these guys were good to great defenders, your starters on the court. Nobody would just go out there, or nobody would help the guy that's driving or help his teammate for the guy that's driving. Nobody would do that. Because they already, this play is ran all damn game. So you already know what the play is going to be. So I'm not gonna help because I already know my teammate is a good defender. I already know. So these shenanigans ain't gonna help. It would just be ridiculous. These guys would be shooting 20% from 3 point land because nobody's gonna leave those guys open. But I try to tell you guys, that's why I don't believe these are real coaches. How can these be real coaches when they're running the same offense down the court every play, every team, every game? So let's get down to the reality of this thing. You got your Kevin Durant's, you got your Bookers, you got your what's the guy's name? Is it Bradley Beal? You got your LeBrons, you got your Steph Currys, and all these guys that's getting older and aging out and stuff like that. These guys, I don't think most of you guys in here trying to win no championships. A lot of these guys out here just, I don't know, just in it for the money. They're telling you these guys getting record-breaking contracts for doing less than every era that came before them, right? And then the young guys not showing up to games, not working on their games. Joel Embiid didn't come to the first game, making all this money. Zion Williams ain't showing up, making all this money. And again, I might be by myself with this because my channel's not monetized, and I'm not gonna go with the get along game. But I don't think these guys are making this kind of money. What will warrant that these guys will make this kind of money? They do less work. They don't have all around games. They don't play defense. The number one thing is nobody's watching this crap. Through the 2020s, the NBA has the lowest ratings of all time in the regular season, playoffs, finals, and holiday games. But you really want me to believe these guys are getting paid? How are they getting paid this kind of money? I don't understand. Let me check this out real quick. I want to see what Zion Williams did last night. 16 points? Oh, goodness. 16 points. He's supposed to be they're going to chew this guy up and spit him out. And he was a plus 17. I mean, plus 7. Wow. I'm shocked. Probably because he had the 3 blocks and the 7 assists. Usually it's really hard for you. You have to be like, you have to have a lot of turnovers for you to be in a minus if your team wins, right? You have to be turning the ball over like hell. Let me see this guy. Yeah, but Zion had no, he had my fault. He had 3 fouls, but 16 points. I mean, they weren't playing nobody. They were playing the damn Trailblazers. So I mean, really didn't have to put forth too much effort. Ingram had 21. McCollum had 20. This NBA, man, is this. Let me check up on Joel Embiid because they lost to the damn Raptors. The Raptors ain't no joke, man. Y'all want to keep playing with them. I don't even see this guy. So Joel Embiid didn't play last night. Why? What pandemic P? He didn't play last night. They ain't even on there. They ain't even on the damn. Eric Gordon still playing. Wow. Max, he had 24 points. But phew, 6 for 23. Wow. Lowry need to retire. What a joke, man. This NBA is a joke, man. That's what I'm talking about. Your stars don't show up. You just signed you just signed Pandemic P, and he don't even show up. Let me check out this game right here. Damn, Knicks blew out the Pacers. Damn. Halliburton has 0 points in 26 minutes. Over 8 from the field, over 7 from the three. Like, dude, when do you find out the three ain't going down for you? When you missed the seventh one in a row? Woo! Goodness. Brunson had 26. Towns had 21. Ain't looking too bad. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. Yeah, but I'll say this: the Lakers, they're not bad as what people think, and as long as LeBron takes a back seat to the other players, this is what they need. They need him to be the third leading scorer, right? Him doing dunks and layups, little opportune times and stuff like that. That's all they need. Like he was playing on the Olympic team, little opportune times where he can get his little dunks and layups, and um, he's controlling the ball. Acts like he's just want to be Magic Johnson. So you always got the ball in your hand to throw it to somebody. You're gonna get the assist if they shoot the ball. Don't matter what they do after you give them the ball. Everything's an assist after you just throw the damn ball to a person. Um, so they make this guy. He don't need to be the second leading scorer. He needs to be the third, because if he's the third, guess what? Even though he'll be the third leading scorer, that means a lot of other people will be able to get points. D'Lo and Connect and all these other guys. He just needs to do what he does. I guess just stand around. Um, Maybe just dish off the ball. I mean, that's what he was doing in the Olympics. He was just dishing off the ball. But when he starts to get take 20 shots and 18, 19 shots, guess what? It messes up the flow of the game. The other guys aren't in the flow of the game because his shots are a lot of times are dunks and layups. So he got to find a way how he's going to bull charge the lane or something like that to get these shots off. It's not passing the ball around and stuff like that. So, you know, basically, I would just put him on the block somewhere. If they were smart, they just put him on the other side of Anthony Davis. I know it's hard because they played four guys at the three-point line, but that's what you should do. Put him on the other side of the block with Anthony Davis and throw him the ball down there. Who's going to stop him? Because the big guy or the tallest guy is going to be on Anthony Davis, the center. So nobody is his size to really stop him. All he's got to do is get the ball, dribble it a couple of times, and make a move to the damn basket while he's in the paint. You're good to go. Good to go. You're gonna get your points right there. I mean, having this guy at the 3-point line is ridiculous because he's never been a shooter. He's a damn football player. He's never been a shooter. That's why I always said they always talk about the 80s and 90s. These guys couldn't shoot. Well, your GOAT of this era can't shoot. So where does that leave you or this era? It's ridiculous. And the thing is, LeBron ain't even of this era. LeBron is a 2020s. In the 2010s. This is like about saying Michael Jordan era was in the 2000s, the early 2000s. That'd be ridiculous. No, his era was the 80s and 90s. He came in the 80s, and his prime was in the 90s. Everything else after that, once you get out your prime and stuff like that, you go into your last, 3, 4, 5 years, those are just like, feel good years. It don't really mean nothing. That really don't count against you or whatever like that. It's like, so LeBron, his time was 2000s, 210s. That's it. 2020s ain't his era. It's ridiculous. All he's doing is destroying this era. That's all he's doing. That's all he's ever did was destroy this era, the 2020s. Because they know if he didn't, they, I don't know. Some of these guys don't even want to be the face of the NBA. They just want to go. When you watch Curry, he could have been the face of the NBA a long time ago. He don't want it. He don't want none of these shenanigans, man. This guy want to live a regular life. Joker don't want it. He want to live a regular life. Luka don't want it. SGA don't want the shenanigans. These guys want to live a regular life. What they try to do, they try to put a 4-6 loser as a face of the NBA. That makes the NBA look really, really bad. 2 statistical titles all this time, 6 finals blowouts with no game 7 in the finals, walking off the court, all kind of stuff, man. Building super teams. I mean, I don't know how worse the NBA could look with this guy as the face of the NBA. I mean, even with those charges against Kobe, it still looked better with Kobe if you would have put him as the face of the NBA. Just in the fact that he was a winner. He didn't team hop. He didn't have 6 finals blowout losses and never seen a game 7. None of that stuff. He didn't say a whole bunch of crazy stuff. He was a standard of hard work and commitment and all this stuff. LeBron James ain't that. So, you guys tell me what you think. It's going to be another, I don't know what kind of season. It's just going to be I could just feel it now. I could feel like the ratings, like nobody really is watching this stuff. And the only thing that keeping the NBA afloat is people having YouTube channels talking about it. Because it's trash. They don't want men playing men's basketball no more. And it's weird. Like, and I feel like most of these guys that's in the league could play 80s and 90s basketball. But it will make LeBron look bad. Right? He's standing around right now and ain't doing nothing since the 2020s. Probably longer than that. So like I said, they got back to playing men's basketball 2000s, 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s. It would make him look bad. He would be more of a liability than anything. He won't be this so-called GOAT. Because if you can't make a second defensive team in your 30s, in the weakest, softest defensive era, especially in the 2020s, Michael Jordan would have been on first. You can't make a second, not first, a second. Wow, that shows how lazy you are. And one foul a game, every game, if not any. Tell me what you think.